So today we are reviewing Replica by The Fireplace. Now this is one of those gold bottles, the limited edition ones, but there's no difference between this and the original, which I have owned in the past as well, but there is zero difference between this and the original bottle. So I promised myself at the start of the year I'm going to be doing more single reviews of fragrances on this channel. I know the top 10 lists and stuff get more views typically, but I enjoy doing the individual fragrance reviews more, and I think just every single perfume reviewer is now doing like the top 10 lists, and there are only so many that you can actually do. I will still do lists as well, but I want to focus a lot more on doing single fragrance reviews like this because to me they're more enjoyable and give more relevant information to you, the viewer. So Replica by The Fireplace. This to me has been a staple in my winter fragrance rotation, my collection for a few years, and I think it's one of the best winter fragrances you can buy to really get you in that mood of like winter wonderland, cozy, sitting by the fireplace. That winter, cozy, magical vibe is all bottled in this fragrance by The Fireplace. So when you first try By The Fireplace, you might be a little bit surprised at the realism of it, of the photorealistic smell that it has. It has a very interesting smokiness, which is of course reminiscent of being sat by a fireplace. You know when you sit by an open fire and your clothes get that smell the next day? It has that kind of smell. They've managed to recreate that kind of smell in here to give you that photorealism of a smoky fireplace, but also you have like this nuttiness, this roasted chestnut smell, and you have this sweetness which you could argue smells like toasted marshmallows. So it gives you this picture of being sat by an open fireplace roasting chestnuts and marshmallows, and you get this really cozy warming feeling when you wear By The Fireplace. So this doesn't actually smell much like a typical fragrance, and we'll get onto that a bit later, but some people might argue that it smells a bit like a candle, and I can half see where they're coming from, but also I just think that this is a really unique fragrance and it still smells like a fragrance. It just doesn't have that typical perfume smell. Like, you know, when you're walking into a perfume store and you get the smell of all the different perfumes in the air, and there are certain aroma chemicals that are used in perfumery where you can really tell that it is a fragrance, but this one doesn't have those kind of smells. It smells much more photorealistic than a typical fragrance. Now, I think you can wear this pretty much any time in the winter. I personally don't like to wear this in the spring and summer because this really gives you the winter feeling, and there is no reason why I would want to wear this in the summer months. Even on like summer evenings, it's just not a fragrance I like to wear. Of course, you might be different. This is just a winter fragrance to me. Because of the way this is designed, it just smells like a really amazing winter fragrance and gives you that real coziness that we look for in the winter. But apart from that, I think it's quite versatile. You could even wear it to work. It doesn't smell like your typical kind of office safe scent, but there's nothing in here really. Even the smokiness, it's not that challenging, so there's nothing in here that's really challenging. The smokiness, I don't think is a challenging note. It doesn't smell like really strong, thick smoke. It just has a beautiful kind of smoothness to it. And it works well. The smokiness in here works really well to counterbalance the sweetness from vanilla. So you've almost got this perfect blend of sweetness and smokiness with that burning wood smell in the background. Now, this is an eau de toilette, and the performance of this, at least on my skin and in my experience wearing it, is brilliant. This gets really good performance, especially for an eau de toilette, which are not always known to be really long-lasting fragrances. Sure, eau de toilettes can be really diffusive when you first spray them on, but this one has excellent longevity as well. I mean, like 6-7 hours later, I can still quite strongly pick this up on my skin. Now, are there any other options that we could choose for Replica by The Fireplace? Well, I haven't tried anything that's exactly the same. Now, the designer fragrance, you know, we talked a minute ago about typical fragrance smells. The one I'd recommend is Stronger With You, absolutely. This has some similar characteristics to By The Fireplace with its kind of sweet caramel and vanilla notes. Also, this has a roasted chestnut note, but this smells much more like your typical fragrance like we mentioned earlier. Now, Mancera's Amore Cafe is not a fragrance that smells exactly like By the Fireplace. There's no smokiness in here, and it isn't reminiscent of being by a fireplace. But this one is ultra sweet and really photorealistic. This smells like a beautiful dessert, and also doesn't smell like a typical fragrance. If you like that idea of smelling something photorealistic, Amore Cafe also does that, but in a much different way to By the Fireplace. Price of this is excellent. I think it's about around £100 for 100ml, and it's been that price for a long time. I haven't really seen a massive price increase in this, which is good. Also, I think these bottles are refillable. I'm not sure if this one is. Yes, it is. It comes off. So this is a refillable bottle, so you can buy the refills, and it saves you money in the long term if you're going to be using this a lot. I will give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's creatively brilliant. There are not many alternatives on the market that I've tried, and I think it's just a wonderful fragrance to have in the wintertime, and I'm always going to have this in my collection to wear in the winter and colder months. So my rating is 8.5 out of 10. Let me know, have you tried By the Fireplace, and what would you give it? And I'd like to know if there are any negatives that you found to this fragrance. See you soon.